It is time for your favorite Android podcast from the crew of blindandroidusers.com. Kick back and enjoy another fine episode from these Google fanboys as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here are your hosts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Blind Android Users podcast. We are recording today, Saturday, September 25th, 2021. Today, Ed is not in here, so I'm driving this car instead, so watch out as I come around the bend. This is Warren Carr, and I have with me my co-hosts. I have Doug out there in northern Canada. Doug, what's up?
The roof is up, man. Otherwise, not too much.
All right, and of course, sitting in place of Ed, who's out there drinking beer somewhere, is our friend Rana from Lebanon. Rana?
Yes, how are you?
What's up in Lebanon?
All is okay.
It sounds like a baby is okay, so it sounds to me things are going on right there, right?
Yeah.
You brought some tabbouleh food, no?
Yes, I did.
Tabbouleh food,
And
good.
now my niece is crying. She's a baby. She's 8 months old.
Well, I'm sure that our friends love hearing babies on the podcast, so this is beautiful. We thank that little girl out there. And we have, of course, somewhere hiding. Are you on the Blue Nile or the White Nile, Mariam?
What?
You? Where are you at? Are you on the Blue or the White Nile?
I'm not on the Nile anyways. I'm by the sea.
Oh,
The blue.
the Red
Isn't
Sea,
it
huh?
the blue? No, it's the Mediterranean.
The Mediterranean. How many seas do we
I'm
have
in
in
the
Egypt
southern
anyway? Was it
part.
one or two seas? You guys have two seas?
Two. We have the Mediterranean and the Red.
Ah. Austin, out there in Mumbai, man, what's up?
I am good. Everything is good in Mumbai. I'm ready to go to office next Friday, so things are opening up here, and I'm near the Arabian Sea.
That's some good news that you are going back to the office. And of course, as always, we're going to be having our announcements from Austin. And in our upcoming must-have apps today, we're talking about music players. So get that funky music going on out there, guys. We're going to look at which ones should be on your phone and which ones should not be on there. And then, as always, Mariam's going to be up there with that CSR. Those of you that love the CSR, you're going to be in for a treat today. I, of course, the knucklehead, will follow that with the app of the week. This week, I'm looking at Speech Central. Then we'll have my highlights from Talkback. And of course, we conclude with Austin giving you all that info that you need in order to subscribe to our mailing list, to our Telegram group, or to our YouTube channel. With that said, Austin, let's get this baby flying, shall we? What do we have on our plate today in the way of announcements?
Blind Android Users is proud to partner with the folks from Gravity Forms. Gravity Forms has allowed us to ensure that our website is both accessible and easy to use with regards to our contact forms and other various forms found throughout the page. Thanks to Gravity Forms' dedication to accessibility and their compliance with all federal and jurisdictional laws relating to accessibility is appreciated. The Blind Android Users would like to thank the folks from Gravity Forms for sponsoring our license subscription to their WordPress plugin. If you'd like to know more about Gravity Forms, check them out online at gravityforms.com.
So this week in the announcement section, we have a lot of things, small things, some big things. The first thing is Ed had appeared on the Mosen at Large podcast, which will be releasing sometime next week, and we'll have the links to the website on the show notes. The next announcement is our website, or at least the user portal of our website has got a lot of redesigning and organization and some security boosts. So those of you who are registered, log in and complete your profile. Those of you not registered, register on the website. And another thing, as many users had requested, we have now started allowing people to download the episodes of our podcast. There is a downloading section on our website, and I'll have the links of that page in the show notes. And we have a Q&A section on our website. So a lot of changes have been done in the past week. So you can go and check our website out and submit content. And also, if you have any questions on the website, you can fill it in and we will answer it. Also, our listeners need to know that in the month of November and December, we have two special events. On the 20th of November, we have episode 50 of our podcast. So, for that, to celebrate that, we are organizing a listeners meet on Zoom. So, requesting you to please go to the website and fill the RSVP form created. The links will be in the show notes to that form. Also, on the 18th of December is a 1 year anniversary. So, we have another listeners meetup celebrated on that day. So, the same RSVP form can be used for both of them. You can enter your name, your email address, and then there will be radio buttons if you want to join us for episode 50, if you want to join us for 1 year celebration, or you want to join us in both. You can definitely join us for both if you want, or you can pick whichever one you want. Another announcement is we have 4 license keys of GoneMAD music players that we have just received for a giveaway. So the listeners must just contact us. There is no magic word or anything. The first 4 listeners that email us at contactus@blindandroidusers.com will get this key. So it's the first listener that emails, the first 4 that emails is going to get these license keys.
And now a word from our sponsor, the world's most trusted WordPress backup, restore, and clone plugin. Hacking, server crashes, dodgy updates, or simple user error can ruin your WordPress site. That is why you need Updraft Plus. Install Updraft Plus to protect your WordPress-powered site by visiting updraftplus.com. That's updraftplus.com. UPDRAFTPLUS.com. We thank Updraft Plus for sponsoring this episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Thank you so much, Austin, for those wonderful announcements. We will now move on to our main segment of the podcast, and that's the must-have apps. And in this week, of course, like I said earlier on, we'll be talking about the music playing app. Austin, do you play music on your phone?
I play little music, but I don't like previously. Before YouTube Music would come out, I used to use the Google Play Music to play local music on my phone. But after that, I use Spotify and YouTube Music. So I don't use much of local music, but I stream the music from the cloud.
So you're more of a streamer than a local player. So it seems like most of us are streamers. I don't play music much, but there are some good local music playing apps that I know of. And of course, one of them is Omnia, OMNIA. And of course, the PowerAmp music app is another great one. I would like to, kind of demonstrate a little bit of that Omnia music before we talk about these music players, what they do and what they cannot do. I am already sitting on my Omnia music player, and when you open up the app, the interesting thing is that you can change what you want to be first. It has like 6 tabs. At the top, on the top right, you have like the more options, then you have the search, and then the cast. So going from right to left on the top, we have more options, search, and cast. In other words, you can actually cast your music to some other speaker if you wanted to. On the top left corner, however, we have the navigate to top.
Albums, navigate up, button, menu, Blind Android Users Podcast.
It's so my Blind Android Users ad in there because we had a little ad for our sponsors, one of our sponsors, and that shows up in there because I have set my albums as the first landing page. And so you could choose what you want to land on when you first launch the app. So we got
Blind Android users pod albums checked.
So as you can hear, albums is checked. You can choose whatever it is that you want to be the first one you land on out of the 6 tabs that we
Artists.
have. We have artists,
Folders.
folders,
Genres. Songs. Playlists.
and those are the things you can choose to have be your startup page. And I want us to look at the settings. There's so much on this thing that you can dig into and see what you like and customize it to your liking.
Play equalizer. Sound effect. Settings.
Let's look at the settings.
Omnia. Navigate up button.
Tapping on settings, here are the items we find.
Playback. Audio.
So under audio, we got
Playback.
playback,
Replay gain. Look and feel. MISC.
and those are the things that you find.
In list.
And there's not much for the app, but when you tap on each of these categories, like I said, then you'll see a bunch of customizations and things like equalizers and all of that, like most typical music playing apps have. Now I am back to the menu eye, and I'm going to show you the tabs that we have. Some of those we already heard out there in the main navigational drawer. And this, of course, like I said, mine is the first thing is the albums. That's the one that is chosen by default by me. And so when I launch it, it is sitting on albums. And I don't have any music here. All I have is
Ads. Blind Android users podcast. 1 song. 1 of 3. In list. 3 items.
that's all I have. And then to the right of that, I have
ASR recordings.
an ASR recording.
Albums. Out of list.
So we got albums, and that's of course just like an inch from the top. Those tabs are found just below the top of the screen. So we got albums, and going left, or rather right from there,
Artists.
we got artists
Folders. Genres. Songs. Playlists.
and playlists. That's the last one. And by the way, you can actually choose to swipe from right to left to navigate through these tabs. If you don't want to find and tap on any of those tabs, you could simply swipe in the middle of the phone from right to left, and that moves you from category to category. That is Omnia Music Player. It's nice, and once you click on something, you could tap on the play, and also just at the bottom right of every category, like for example, if it were a song or if it's an album, for example, let's use the blind Android users ad thing that I was talking about. Slightly below where it says blind Android users is the more options. So every single one of these things will have that more options, and when you tap on that more options, it'll pop up things like, let me just show you what I'm talking about.
Ads. Blind Android users. More button.
So that's more.
Pop-up window. Play. In list.
So you could tap on that to play.
Play next.
Play next.
Artist. Add to playlist. Add to queue. Edit tags. Delete.
And that's what you find in that more options. And if I tap here just on
Ads.
blind ads,
Navigate up button.
at
Out
the
of list.
bottom, it will tell you what it is.
Updraft plus WordPress plugin. Blind Android users podcast.
And then to the right of that,
Previous.
you
button.
have previous,
Play. Button.
play,
Next. Button.
and next. That's it. It's a very simplistic app. And if you haven't played with Omnia, you should use it and see if you like it. The next thing we want to talk about, guys, is PowerAmp. I do have PowerAmp, but it's very simplistic in its use as well. And just like Omnia Player, it does have that cross-fading. And now let me demonstrate PowerAmp. I have the app open in front of me. When you open up the app, on the top right corner is the cast.
PowerAmp. Cast.
That's all you have there on the top right corner. Now below there, like about a couple inches or an inch and a half across from the middle of the phone, there's something that simply says button.
Button.
Tapping on that button,
Folder selection. Close. Folder selection. Please use the Enable button and allow access to the appropriate storage. Only one root folder per storage is accepted. Use the plus button to add more storages and third-party track provider plugins.
and that's the message that we find near the top half of the screen. Now, slightly below that is the Enable button. I will now find and tap on that Enable button.
Enable. In list. Files. Show routes. Button. Out of list. Files. Pixel 2 XL. New folder.
It takes me to the internal storage of my phone, and here I am supposed to choose the folder that I would like to use. I will now put my finger down, find something here, and tap on it.
DCIM. Down Kindle. Movie Notific Podcasts. Ring Pod Music. Row 7. Column 1.
Tap here,
Music. New folder. Out of grid.
and now at the bottom is where I'm going to tap to select that folder.
Use this folder. Button.
There we go. Use this folder.
Allow PowerAmp to access files in music. This will let PowerAmp access current and future content stored in music.
And I'm going to tap Allow.
Allow. Button. Folder selection. Close.
And now that I've selected a folder, if I want, I could delete that folder and choose a different one, because below this message where it says,
Please use the Enable button and allow access to the appropriate storage.
now instead of the Enable button that we saw earlier, now what we have here is the Delete button.
Delete button. Text. X.
I could tap there to delete, or near the top right corner, I could simply tap on Close. I'm going to tap on Close.
Close. Out of PowerAmp settings. Scanning library 3 period. Songs 1/1. Playlists 0.
So there it is, importing my songs from within my library. After tapping on the Close, it places us now on this screen, and here's what we got going here.
PowerAmp keeps tracks info, including ratings, playlists, from the removed storages even after rescan. Use full rescan action below to clear that info.
And next.
Full rescan. Clear tag info database and rescan library folders. Use when storage SD card changed, on major ROM updates, or when folders are moved on storage.
Next.
Music folders. Select folders for folders library.
Next.
Ignore short tracks, notifications, etc. Less than seconds. 6.
In other words, it will ignore anything that is shorter than 6 seconds, and you can go change and customize it as to how you want it to be.
Ignore video tracks. Tracks with video stream will be ignored. Switch on.
In other words, it's going to ignore, video tracks, and you could turn this off if you don't want it to. Ignore those ones.
Advanced.
Here under Advanced, we've got
Store per track progress. Useful for podcasts. Long sets. Switch on.
next,
-10 plus 10's rewind pro buttons. Change 3 less than sign 3 greater than sign. Category change. Pro buttons to -10 plus 10's rewinding buttons for long tracks. Also applies to long category. Requires pro button skin option enabled. Switch on.
next,
Track duration for per track progress and -10 plus 10's buttons. At least 45 minutes.
next,
Slider 75%. Count as played. Count track as played after playing at least 50%.
and you can change how you want that affected.
Slider 50%. Individual playlists and folders can be set to keep each track progress via their header menu list options.
Next,
Lists, list click action, list categories options. Search results playback options. Queue options. Playlists, use our created playlists import export and options. Scanner, PowerAmp folders in the library scanner options.
and that's the last item. I'll now tap on the Close on the top right corner.
Change search, out of list, close. PowerAmp. Blind Android users introduction MP3. Blind Android users introduction MP3.
So it's the blind user's introduction in here. So showing my music, something that it found in my music folder. Now that we've imported something and we're here on this screen, here's what we got. We still have that cast found near the top right corner.
Cast.
And then below there we have
Blind Android users introduction MP3, unknown artist.
And I could tap to play this, or below there is the play.
Play.
And to the left of the play,
Wavaseek. Text. L43 hours and 7 minutes 000 hours.
and to the right of the play button,
Wavaseek. L43 hours and 7 minutes 000 hours.
the same thing. Now if I tap on play,
Play. Library. Equifax. Pause. Library.
I just tap on pause. Now below there we have the following items or buttons. We have, starting from the bottom left,
Library.
library,
Equifax.
the EQ effects,
Search.
search,
Settings.
and settings. Let's quickly take a look at settings. Tapping on settings brings us to this screen.
To close. Text. PowerAmp.
We still need to find something called settings here toward the bottom in the middle of the phone.
Set change law settings.
Tap here.
PowerAmp settings. Settings. In list.
Now we have the items in settings, and I'm going to start this from the top. We've got the following.
Look and feel. Skin. Player interface. Language. Notifications.
You can go in there and customize all of that.
Audio. Crossfade. Replay gain. Volume. Output.
Get in there and do what you want.
Visualization. Faded controls opacity. Preset duration.
Next,
Background. Blur. Details. Intensity. Saturation.
next,
Album art. Download. Quality. Cache cleanup.
next,
Library. Rescan. Music folders. List. Queue options. Headset Bluetooth. Pause resume on connection. Headset buttons.
next,
Lock screen. PowerAmp lock screen options.
next,
MISC. Scrobbling. Android Auto. Other tweaks.
next.
About. Version changelog. Translations info.
And next we have other.
Other.
And under other we have
Get support.
get support.
Export settings.
You could export your settings or
Import settings.
import settings. And the last item in here is
Send errors to developer. Suggest sending a crash log via email. Switch on.
that's the last item. I'll now go back.
PowerAmp.
I am now back to the main UI. And that's PowerAmp. It's got a lot of stuff that you should look into, and I'll probably make it your default music player if you like it. It does have a trial, and I think that the license is like $6. I think that's how much I paid for it. I don't remember, but between $4 and $6. That's PowerAmp. But Austin and Mariam, you guys were with us here when we interviewed some guy from GoneMAD Music. Do you guys like GoneMAD Music?
Yes. Yeah, I tried GoneMAD. It's pretty cool, actually.
GoneMAD Music is one of those playing apps or musical playing apps that's also a nice app, and it happens to be one of those that has been with us for quite a while. I remember it being there since 2013 or 2014, and so it's a nice music playing app. And of course, like we said, we do have some licenses that we want to give. So we got 4 of those. And if you want to get a license to GoneMAD Music, remember to just write to us at contactus@blindandroidusers.com, and we'll send you a license to GoneMAD Music. All right, guys, any other music app we want to talk about? Or are we done playing that funky tune?
We had done a demo of GoneMAD Music and Shuttle Music Player in different episodes of the podcast, and I will find those demos on YouTube and I will put them up on the latest playlist so that they all can fit in one playlist and you can browse the demos.
Great. Thank you so much, Austin. So up next, we have the CSR goddess. Of course, Mariam loves CSR, and she likes to fight me about CSR. And somehow, last week, she wasn't here, so there was no fighting going on. Mariam, what's up?
Commentary screen reader, or the Chinese screen reader, has gotten really popular among blinds and visually impaired recently. And here, on the Blind Android Users podcast, we will have a series of episodes in which we will talk about how to use the screen reader and how to get the best out of it. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of CSR Basics. In this episode we're going to be talking about two important things. The first one is CSR and battery optimization. And the second thing we'll be going over how to back your settings up in CSR and how to restore them, which is the main part. Actually, the thing about optimization and battery wasn't planned at all, but I decided to talk about it because over the last week, I would say, I've been having a problem with CSR that actually definitely involves battery optimization and plugins and CSR and battery optimization systematic mechanisms. So I decided to talk about it because it's really important. We have gone over that briefly when we were setting CSR up, but it never crossed my mind the problem that I had with CSR lately. So I thought I would definitely explain it more and let you all know what this is exactly. So the problem mainly was the fact that after locking my screen for 2 minutes, even more so, CSR started crashing when I unlocked my screen every single time, which was a pain, honestly, because I can definitely endure that, especially if I want to make an urgent quick call to someone or do something pretty urgent. Like it used to take 20 seconds for the system to restart CSR again, and the system giving me this message that CSR keeps stopping. Do I want to wait or close the app? It was kind of weird. So I started questioning it, and I was kind of surprised that this happened because it never happened to me when I was using CSR, other than when I started using it back in 2019 or so. So I started looking into it. So I asked on the Telegram group, the official Telegram group for CSR, and most of them were talking about battery optimization and how I have to turn that off for CSR. So there's a permission when you install CSR for the first time, or when you install CSR in general. It asks you to have the permission granted to run in the background and for the battery optimization to ignore it and stuff like that, which is really crucial for you to turn this on, because if you didn't grant this permission for G-Show to run in the background, the screen reader would be often killed by the battery optimization mechanisms, which is definitely bad. So I was pretty sure that I turned that off. I granted this permission. So I was kind of thinking about it. I was confused. What's wrong? So I went into power management settings and CSR settings, which I didn't think that would be a solution. There was a setting there called prevent the screen reader to be killed off by the battery optimization mechanisms. That was a checkbox that was unchecked. So I checked it, and it made the crashes less, but it still happened, which made me even more interested than before, because I'm a person who not only wants to solve the problem temporarily or solve it just, for good, but I want to know the reason behind the problem or the issue. So it made me even more interested to look into it more and search more, because it still happened even if it's less than before. So I asked a question on Android for Blinds group, which is the most popular and famous community for Android users in the Arab world, and even further, but for the Arabic community for the most part. And the members there were definitely helpful. One of the members was gracious enough to tell me that there's a plugin that causes a problem and it kills off the screen reader, apparently, which is the auto skip ad plugin. We actually have covered that briefly when we were talking about how to download additional resources and stuff. This plugin waits until the 5 seconds of the ad on YouTube, are over, and automatically skips the ad. So I was kind of surprised, because I definitely started using this plugin or extension, I would say, 2 days before just before the problem happened. So I decided to turn it off and see what happens. And actually, after turning it off, it was surprising and shocking to see that this worked, and this problem literally didn't happen at all. And I could recall too that when this plugin was working, after turning the power management thing on, CSR, even if it became less, it was crashing, but it became less. CSR used to restart every 24 hours precisely, which was kind of odd too. And strange enough, I tried different versions of CSR. I switched between the international and the the local. And also, strange enough, this problem happened less with the local one, which was kind of comforting. I thought that the problem was with the international, definitely before I found out about the plugin thing, but it was still kind of strange. So obviously, I just want to let you all know that first, granting this permission is really important, and if you face this problem without installing the plugin, the skip out plugin, remember to turn on the prevent the screen reader from being killed off by the battery optimization mechanisms. I will show you how to do it right now, because you might not, because it's kind of deep into the settings. So I will open program settings.
Main menu. Extensions. Voice assist. Program settings. Commentaries. Email 9. General settings.
I'll go into advanced settings.
Add X2. Advanced setting. Advanced settings.
This is setting.
Backup. Other settings. Menu custom. Power management settings.
This one.
Power management settings.
It only has 2 options.
Prevent killing the screen reader checkbox checked. It is recommended to check this option if the screen reader is often killed by the system battery optimization mechanisms.
So as you can tell, it's actually designed for that. So turn it on if you're having problems with the screen reader being killed off. There's also another important setting here if you have problems with CSR draining your battery.
Power saving mode checkbox unchecked. It is recommended to check this option when the standby power consumption is too high.
So this one is, you can turn it on instead of turning the power mode on or the power saver on, because if you do so, it will make it will cause issues to the screen reader. So better turn this on if CSR is draining your battery, and it's gonna work less. It's gonna drain your battery less. So now we're going to be talking about backing up your settings. I actually mentioned that briefly, I think, when we were talking about like in the first couple episodes or so, but we didn't go into details about it because honestly, I haven't had experimented with it or messed with it yet, but now I did. I'm gonna tell you that it's a really important setting, so useful for you because it definitely takes less time because you don't need to, do all your settings all over again and just, especially because CSR is huge. Let's admit that. I gotta admit that CSR is huge and has a lot of settings when it comes to menus, menu customization, navigation settings, gestures, and all that. So it's kind of good to have backing up settings because CSR, as customizable as it is, it's also kind of a pain to set your settings every time all over again. So we'll be talking about how to back up. First of all, you have to know that when you back your settings up, you only back settings, meaning that if you have sound themes, gesture schemes, hot like keyboard schemes or whatever they call them, plugins, extensions, tools, all that, they're not backed up by the default normal backup. And what I mean by default normal backup is you could definitely back them up from another place, which we will be going over today too. But there's definitely a couple solutions for that. You could back them up from the resource manager, which we'll be talking about also, or you could just copy the CSR folder and save it somewhere, and you won't find any problems with that at all. So let's see how to back things up. Let's go and check it out. So it's also in the advanced settings.
Back button.
So we will go back one step.
Advanced recents button. Backup and restore.
Back up and restore. From here, you would back up your settings or you restore them.
Backup and restore. Restore settings. Backup settings.
So here it is.
Backup settings. Selecting this option lets you create a full backup of your current settings. Please note that this option will overwrite your current backup. Backup settings. Selecting this option lets you create a full backup of your current settings. Please note that this option will overwrite your current backup.
So as you can see, it's like a backup to back up all your settings. And if you have another backup, former one, it's gonna overwrite it.
Cancel OK button. Backup completed. The backup has been completed. The requested data have been successfully saved to the appropriate folder. OK button.
So the backup has been completed successfully. What is the appropriate folder that's talking about? The appropriate folder is the official folder for CSR. You're gonna find it under your internal storage. It's actually written in Chinese. So if you're using a TCS engine that supports Chinese, it's gonna be pronounced. If you're not, it will just be like, it won't pronounce it. But it's, most of the times down, if you're using like the order of your file manager is sorted by name, so it's gonna be down probably the last item there. So let's go into my file manager. I'll be using the Google file manager and see how can we locate the backup and how what you can do with it and how you can exactly identify the folder because it's kind of different.
Home button. One UI home. One full and folder. Google 87 full. Keep notes. Files. Clean. Show collection. Show collect favorites. Save folder. Storage to internal. Download 5 days ago.
I'm gonna scroll.
Voice recorder 9. Ship 3 days ago. Ship 3 days ago.
As you can see, it doesn't tell the name of the folder, the title of it, but it says only what is the last time it was modified. So let's go into that.
Internal storage.
The backup folder is also written in Chinese. So you might find different folders that are in Chinese. So how you can identify that? Let's go and see.
Plugins 2 day. Resources show sound 6 show tools 6 show 6 days ago show 6 days ago show file 4 days ago show 3 days ago show .zip 20 show internal storage showing inlet internal nav show file .zip 23.28
Obviously,
kilobytes
this
from
is
4 days ago.
This is a file. It's not a folder.
Show 3 days ago.
So I will go into every folder that's in Chinese because I want you to identify which one of them exactly is the one.
Internal storage selected. So there's nothing here.
As you can tell, there's nothing here, so this is not the backup folder.
Back button. Internal 3 days ago. Show .zip. Show 4 days ago. Internals show file log 202 show file crash 20 show file actions button.
The log folder which the logs are saved into, and as you can tell there are multiple crashes because this is the log, and I told you I've been having crashes with screen reader.
Back button. Internal storage.
Actually, this is not the folder we're looking for.
Show file action 3 days ago. Show 4 days ago. Show 6 days ago. Internal show file .dat 9.68 show file .dat show file action .dat selected .dat 211 kilobytes from 3 minutes ago. .dat 58B from 3 minutes ago.
So as you can tell, this is the backup folder because it's 3 minutes ago and we've just created a backup 3 minutes ago, right? So this is the folder. You're gonna find like files that are in Chinese too, .dat.
Show .dat 9.68 kilobytes from 3 minutes ago. Show navigate up button.
So it's a folder, probably contains up to 4 files at most, but it has all the settings for the screen reader, which is pretty good. So now you could take this folder, save it somewhere, and repaste it when you actually if you want to reinstall the screen reader, you want to reset it, you want to reset your phone, you change your phone or something like that. Now you could also back up to the cloud, but this is only available if you have the premium subscription, which is kind of fair because it's like, you are actually, buying a cloud to save your files on. It's pretty much the same thing because in the cloud you could back up your settings, you could back up your sound themes, your clipboard history if you want to, even your timer labels, your custom labels, like pretty much everything. So it's pretty good. But be aware that if you want to restore your backup, which we will definitely know how to do it right now, make sure to do that after you give the screen reader the storage permission, because if you don't, I made this mistake and I was like, oh my god, why can't I restore my backup? Why it doesn't let me do so? And then I found out that I didn't give CSR the permission for the storage because my things were saved into my internal storage and I didn't give CSR permission. I didn't grant the permission for CSR to access my storage. And then after I accessed it, I granted access, I definitely was able to restore my settings. So
Recents button 1 commentary screen reader backup and restore. Restore settings.
you have the restore settings.
Restore settings. Select restore settings. Selecting this option lets you restore settings from a previously created backup. Please note that this option will overwrite your current settings. Cancel the OK button.
If you hit OK, it's gonna restore the backup that you have.
Cancel button.
Which is pretty good. So now, if you want to back your stuff up, like your plugins, your like everything that you have, what I do, like personally, I just copy the whole folder and put it somewhere, like on my computer or on my external SD card or somewhere else, if I want to like reset the screen reader to the default settings, or I want to clean up, or I want to like reset my phone like I did recently. And I just put it in there after like installing the screen reader, or even before so it will have like my downloads or my extensions, my custom gesture stuff, my per app gestures and everything. But there's another thing that you could do.
Back button. Advanced settings. Commentary text editor.
You would go into
Resource manager.
Resource Manager.
Resource manager. Scan for resources button. Gesture scheme manager.
You would have literally every single thing here in a manager. So
Extension manager. Tools manager. Sound scheme manager.
let's
Custom label manager. Clipboard history. Favorites manager. Timer manager. Hot scheme manager. Backup manager. Resource manager. Scan for resources. Gesture scheme manager.
okay, let's go into Gesture Scheme Manager.
Gesture scheme. Custom unchecked. Reader unchecked. YouTube unchecked.
Here you have the per app, the custom gesture scheme.
Reader unchecked. YouTube music on. Delete button. YouTube music unchecked.
So there are checkboxes. You could
Delete button. YouTube checked. Delete button. Select all button. Backup button.
backup. So you have delete, backup, and yeah, I mean that's where you could do it. It's pretty easy, pretty flexible. It does the same thing, it saves in the same folder. So that's the way to do the backup. That's the way to restore them. It's pretty easy. I'm also going to show you how to do it on the cloud.
Back button.
But be aware that to back up things on the cloud, you definitely should be logged in. You should have an account. And actually, you should be a premium subscriber. So if you are, you definitely have an account.
Favorites manager. Timer manager. Back button. Add operations. Menu. Other setting. Backup and cloud backup and restore.
There you go.
Cloud backup settings. Restore setting. Backup restores. Back operation completed. Operation completed. OK button.
Operation completed. So it backed up literally everything to the cloud.
Cloud backup and restore. Backup everything. Restore everything. Back restore settings. Backup cloud backup. Back restore cloud backup and restore.
This backup everything.
Backup everything.
It means that's gonna literally back everything up, like the sound themes, the plugins, everything. So it's pretty good. If you want to do it, you could definitely do so. And once you log into your account, your G-Show account, you can back things up or restore things pretty easily. So that's how to do it. And actually, this backup thing was upon a request of one of our listeners, which is definitely welcome. If you have any requests or anything that you want me to demonstrate, feel free to, because even if I don't know how to do it, I take it seriously and I look into it and I research, and I benefit from that, and you definitely are. I hope you do benefit too, because I do it with passion. I love learning about new things. So definitely, if you have any questions or requests, feel free to reach me out, whether through our Telegram group, Blind Android Users, or contact us at blindandroidusers.com, which is the official email address. And I would definitely be honored and happy to reply to you all and demonstrate all the things you want. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do actually have any questions, do feel free to reach out to me or to the whole podcast at contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Today's episode of CSR is kind of different because we talked about battery optimization and how the screen reader sometimes might often get killed off. So it's one of the most important episodes. We should have done it in the beginning, but this problem didn't happen to me. But now, it did.
Well, great. And we do have that thing from Mariam. So pay attention if you want to get to know more about CSR and all of that. And of course, we have a lot of CSR episodes, especially on our previous episodes and also on our YouTube channel. I think we probably have a dedicated playlist for CSR. You want to check that out. We've got 5 or 6 of those up there already.
And just for
Yes.
Mariam, we also have the CSR forum page on our discussion boards.
So in other words,
Oh,
if
thank
you...
you, Doug. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, now you owe Doug some, I don't know, maybe some Egyptian food. Doug, you
Yeah,
like Egyptian food?
sushi.
Egyptian food's yummy.
Well, I've had some Algerian food. I think it was the couscous.
Oh, yummy.
I love it.
Oh, it's so good. We actually
Yeah.
have that. But did you have it with milk and sugar or with soup?
No. I think it was meat. You know me.
Oh, there.
Warren loves his meat.
I do love my meat. So went to this Algerian restaurant and I had some couscous there. It's really good. And actually, we even bought it from the store. You could buy it from the store, and we brought it home and did some of that cooking.
Yeah.
So maybe we're not turning this podcast into a cooking show, which is also a good thing because you want to be eating while you listen to our podcast.
We might do a
This
cooking
seg-
episode though.
This segment is sponsored by Nigerian Foods.
No, it's Algerian.
Yeah,
Algerian,
Foods.
Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks to Algerian Foods for sponsoring this episode of the Blind Android Users podcast. Thank you, Austin. Oh my goodness. And now we turn our attention to my app of the week. And this week I'm talking about Speech Central. In Speech Central, I try to show you how to use this to read various articles, books, and things like that. And here comes Speech Central. Hi, and welcome to another app demonstration from Blind Android Users. Today, I'll be demonstrating an app called Speech Central. Speech Central is an electronic reading app that I came across a little over 2 years ago. At the time when I got Speech Central, I think I paid like $6 or $7 for it. However, today, as a blind person or someone who is visually impaired, you could actually get Speech Central absolutely for free. In demonstrating this app, I will be using the Vocalizer TTS. I am now sitting in the menu eye of the app and will give you a tour of the app. When you open up the app, at the very top right corner is the search button. At the bottom of the phone, we have a total of 5 tabs. Starting from the bottom left and going to the right, we have the following tabs.
Headlines.
Headlines.
Articles and books. Old articles. Recently deleted. Extras.
Extras, the last one. I would like to activate the extras because in the extras menu, we will find settings and that we will use in customizing the app to one's liking. I will now tap on extras and open up the menu.
Extras.
When you open up extras, there are a total of 5 buttons or 5 items in the menu. Here are the items starting from the top. We've got
Settings 3 period button.
Settings,
Log into website 3 period button. Help button. Contact support 3 period button.
and
About button.
that's the last item in this menu. I would now like to go up and tap on Settings.
Settings 3 period button. Random settings. Settings. Navigate up button.
Tapping on Settings, here are the items that we find. Starting from the top, And we can actually literally go on for an hour just exploring through the settings and things like that. But I am not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to go through the items. You can go through these items on your own and further customize it to your own liking. I will therefore show you what we have here in settings and make comments here and there on items that I think are worthy of comments. Here's what we got.
Speech.
We have the speech, and under speech we got
Drop-down list. Auto-detect for language.
You could tap here to go choose your language or let it automatically detect as to what language your system is using. Let's go down.
Voice.
Voice, and probably this is one of the most important ones in these settings.
Drop-down list. Random. Prefer high quality for voice.
We have randomized voices. In other words, the voices are going to be chosen at random when you are reading an article or reading a book. If you want to change this, however, to some other locally stored TTS engine on your phone, you can tap in here and go choose that. By default, this is though using the randomized voices, which of course are network voices, meaning you'll be utilizing network connectivity. Or you could choose down below here and set it to use both Wi-Fi and mobile network, meaning whenever you're out of the Wi-Fi zone, it will automatically default to using your mobile data. Let's go down and see what other items we have here in these settings.
Drop-down list. Only on Wi-Fi for use voices that consume data. Standard speed. Slider. 50%.
And that's speed now.
High speed. Slider. 75%. Voice pitch. Slider. 50%. Volume. Slider. 100%. Reading screen.
This is a reading screen, and this has to do with things like fonts and visuals that those who have some sight can use it. Besides, Speech Central is not only intended for the blind, but also for people who are dyslexics and other disabilities. Let's go down now and see what we have in the screen area.
Font size. Drop-down list. 19 for font size. Font. Drop-down list. Atkinson Hyperlegible for font. Color scheme. Drop-down list for color scheme.
I'm going to scroll up.
Highlight drop-down list. Yellow for highlight color. Sleep timer. Drop-down list. Off for sleep timer. Auto scroll. Drop-down list. Middle for auto scroll. Line height. Slider. 0%. Disable screen lock. Switch off. Headlines. Maximum item length. Drop-down list. 5 minutes for maximum item length.
And you can change that to what you like.
Summaries. Drop-down list. Cut long for summaries. Button functions 3 period. Button. Announce the text length. Drop-down list. Never for announce the text length.
You could tap here and go choose for it to let you know as to how much the text length is. Let's scroll down.
Drop-down list. Never for announce the text. Add new article 2. Drop-down list. Bottom for add new article 2. Automatic share import. Drop-down list. Off for automatic share import. Sync by pocket 3 period. Button.
And the last item here is to sync using Pocket, which is another great app for reading web articles and things like that. I will now go back to the main UI of the app. I am now back in the main UI of the app. Let's now take a look at some of these tabs here at the bottom. I will tap on the Articles and Books tab, which is the second tab from the bottom left.
Articles and books.
Now that I have tapped on Articles and Books, we now have another additional button here at the bottom, just above the one that says Extras. And that button is the Add Item. I will go ahead now and tap on this Add Item and see what we have.
Add item. Button. Add item. Import file 3 period. In list.
Upon tapping on Add Item, we have a menu. And in the menu, we have the following items that we could choose to add. Starting from the top, which is right there in the middle of the phone, we have
Import file 3 period.
Import File.
Paste.
I could paste something from my clipboard.
Type 3 period.
Or I could tap here to type something.
Web article 3 period.
Web article. I could tap here and go choose a web article to import.
Bookshare 3 period.
Or Bookshare, and at the bottom here is the cancel. So in other words, I could actually tap on Bookshare and log into my Bookshare account if one has one, and from there you could read Bookshare books instead of using that clunky Go Read Bookshare app. Let's go ahead and go tap on the one that says import file and go grab something and show you how to read it. I will now go tap on the import file and find and import something from my books.
Import file 3 period. Articles and books. Books. Pixel 2 XL in list.
I am told I am in my books folder on the Pixel 2 XL. Now, if you have an item somewhere that you would like to import, for example, other than from within your books area, or somewhere on your SD card, if you have a phone that has an SD card slot, you could tap on the show routes near the top left and go choose where that folder is located. I am, however, in the books folder, and I'm going to find one of the books that I have, which is now in the public domain. And that will be a book by William Tecumseh Sherman, a book now in public domain.
Memoirs of General William T. Sherman, EPUB, 855. Articles and books.
It just imported that book, and now it's in my main area of articles and books. And if I put my finger down,
Memoirs of General William T. Sherman, complete, 37 hours, 58 minutes, and 34 seconds.
That's how many hours it would take me to finish reading this book. Now that we have another item here, so we got two, you could rearrange these items as to which one goes to the top and which one goes to the bottom. And in order to do that, you have to long press one of these items. I'm going to long press one of them and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Memoirs of General William T. Sherman,
I just long pressed, and upon long pressing, now we have some toolbars near the top of the phone. I'm going to start from the right.
More options, button.
There's some more options.
Move up.
Then to the left of that is move up.
Move down.
Or move down. Let's tap on the more options and see what we got.
More options, button. Pop-up window, share 3 period, in list.
Tapping on the more options, we got share,
Delete.
delete, which means if I tap on this, it will move the book to my recently deleted tab that we saw earlier.
Move to old articles.
Move to all articles.
Open original. Toggle favorite. Edit 3 period. Export audio file. Export Word document 3 period. Select all.
Or last, select all. We'll be talking about exporting to audio file and things like export to Microsoft Word or even editing the file. When it comes to editing, what that means is that if I'm reading something and I find something that is misspelled, I could long press on it and go choose to edit, and then I will actually edit that. If I want to export the whole book into a Word document, however, I have to open that book or just long press on it and go choose to export it to Word document. I could also choose to export it as an audio file, which means it'll be saved in a .wav format. Let's now open this.
Memoirs of General Media Control. Memoirs of General William T. Sherman, complete.epic.
I got this book from Project Gutenberg, which means it's available to anyone for download. Now that we have the book opened, however, we have more items in the way of buttons. At the bottom, we have the following buttons. At the very bottom left, we have the previous. Then at the very bottom right, we have the next. Sandwiched in between these two buttons are 3 additional buttons. Starting from the left, we have
Navigation panel, button.
Navigation panel, which means if we tap on it, it will take us to the same area within the settings that we saw earlier, and I'm not going to go into that. I will now move my finger to the right of this and see what we have.
Play, button.
We have play, which means if I tap here, it will start reading the book. To the right of that, we have
High speed off button.
High speed is off. However, if I want to set it to high speed, especially when we saw in the control area that the high speed was at 75%, if I tap this, it's going to set it to 75% with respect to the speed. Let's now look at the top because opening the book also introduced a couple more items besides the search. On the top right corner, we have that
More options button.
more options, and to the left of that we have
Search.
and another button to the left of the search is
Navigation.
navigation. Let's go ahead and tap on navigation. Tapping on navigation introduces 4 new tabs. These are found just an inch below the top.
Chapters tab 1 of 4.
We've got chapters,
Titles tab 2 of 4.
titles,
Annotations tab 3 of 4.
and the last item we have here is other.
Other tab 4 of 4.
By default, we're thrown in the chapters tab, and that's the one that's selected by default. In other words, you can put your finger down and go pick up a chapter that you would like to start with. If I put my finger down in the middle of the phone,
7 in list.
that's 7.
6
I'm going up
5 4 3
or
4
going down.
5 6 7 8 9 10
If I scroll up,
26 29 34 35 30 37.
so there are a lot of chapters in this book. Let's see the next tab, which is found to the right of the chapter tab.
Titles tab 2 of 4. Titles selected. Titles page 2 of 4.
Tapping on titles, here's what we got.
Memoirs of General Sherman. Inlet Memoirs of General W.T. Sherman by Volume 1. Volume 1.
I'm just going
Preface to the
down.
second edition. Contents. Volume 2. Illustrations. Memo Chapter I. From 1820 to the Mexican War.
And that's it about the title. Let's now tab on the one that says Annotations.
Annotations. Tab 3 of 4. Annotations. Selected. Annotations. No items. 3 of 4.
Tapping on Annotations, we're told we don't have any items, and that's because I haven't commented on anything. To the right of that, we have
Other. Tab 4 of 4. Other. Selected. Other. Page 4 of 4.
tapping on Other. Here's what we got.
Spell current sentence. In list. Back 30 seconds.
I'm just moving my finger down.
Skip 60 seconds. Previous sentence. Next sentence. Previous paragraph. Next paragraph. Previous title. Next title. Previous bookmark. Next bookmark. Previous chapter. Next chapter.
And things like that. I'm going to go tap on the chapter.
Chapters. Tab. Chapters. Select.
I will now just simply find one at random and tap on it.
6.
Chapter V.
Navigation.
California,
Out of
New York, and Kansas. 1857-1859. Having closed the bank at San Francisco on the first day of May,
And it starts reading chapter
accompanied
6.
by my family, I
Pause.
embarked in
Button.
the steam.
Play.
And the good thing is that you can actually even use your keyboard. In other words, if you like to use your physical keyboard that is connected to your phone, you could use that keyboard to read line by line and things like that. Let's now see how we go about creating an audio file. I will be using the one about the Google Drive in creating an audio file. We could either simply tap on it and open it, or long pressing on it and then find and tap on the more options on the top right and go tap on create audio file or export audio file. Let me now go ahead and tap on that file.
How to back up your Android phone and data with Google One. What? Media control. How to back up your Android phone and data with Google One.
And of course, we could tap to play it or just simply read it with the screen reader and all of that. But let's go ahead though and create an audio file out of this. I will now find and tap on that more options on the top right corner.
More options. Pop-up window. Open original. In list.
I will find and tap on export audio.
Edit text 3 period. Export audio file. Export audio file. Navigate up. Button. Out of list.
When we tap on Export Audio File, we have some items in here. In other words, we could choose to what language we would like to export this audio file into and as to how fast we would like it to read. So let's take a look at the items that we have here. Starting from the top, we've got the following.
Voice.
Voice. In other words, we choose the language or the voice we want to use.
Drop-down list. Random. Prefer high quality. For voice.
Let's tab here.
Pop-up window. Random. Prefer high quality. Checked. In list.
Tapping on that, we are shown different voices that we could use in the creation of this audio file, including regional English languages and things like that. And I'm thinking that if you have a device that has some other languages, you probably will see those languages in here as well. But because mine is an English system, all I can see is a lot of the English voices from the UK, the United States, India, and other places like that.
N language English, India. N language export. Drop down list. N language English, India.
So I just tapped on the Indian language, for example. Now below that Indian language, we now need to choose as to how fast we would like it to read. And so we'll tap on the drop down and choose the speed.
Drop-down list, 0.8x for speed.
Tap here.
Pop-up window, 0.8x, checked, in list.
Upon tapping on the speed, you could choose a different speed and things like that. You could choose to make it slower or faster.
0.8x, checked. 0.8x, checked. 0.9x. 1x.
Let's put it on 1x.
1x. Export audio file. Drop down list.
Now below that 1x or that drop down, we have the start. And that's on the left side of the screen there.
Start button.
Tapping on start, if we move our finger up a little bit, we will find the progress. In other words, the percentage of the conversion.
Drop down list progress bar. 87 share.
It finishes the conversion and automatically takes us to the sharing page. In other words, we need to choose an app that we would like to share it with. I would like to use a file management app so I could save it to say my documents or something like that. So I'm going to use my Solid Explorer or some other file management app.
Files by Google, send with Files app, row 3, Solid Explorer, save to.
Here's Solid Explorer. I'll tap here.
Save to. Internal memory. Button. Out of grid.
Tapping on that, I'm taken to internal memory. I'll tap here.
Internal memory.
Now that I'm in my internal memory or storage, I will find and tap on Documents.
Books. 3 documents. Download documents.
I just tapped on Documents. And at the bottom, I'm going to select that Documents folder.
Select Documents.
Tap.
Saving in my files. File copy. Preparing operation.
How to back up your Android phone and data with Google
And it
One.
starts reading.
Google One is arguably our favorite among the best cloud services out there. One of the reasons we like it so much is that it can back up your
And I
Android
could tap
phone
to
and keep
stop
an
it.
encrypted
Reading
copy in the
position.
cloud.
Reading pause.
That way,
Pause.
if something
Button.
happens to your
I just tap to pause that reading. And that's how you go about saving something as an audio file. Overall, I'll say that the Speech Central is definitely a good app, most especially when it's free. You can use it in reading your web articles, books, documents, and so forth. And that's Speech Central.
Now about Speech Central, I tried it. I actually do have it right now, but the thing with it, it sometimes often crashes, especially if I'm trying to select my navigation unit. So does that happen to you?
Actually, no, I haven't seen that. Maybe you need to give it a try again because it gets regular updates, and I'm sure whatever problem you are having with it in that past must have been fixed because I've never experienced that. But absolutely, the Speech Central has to be one of the must-haves for anyone who would like to be able to use use it for reading books and other articles and things like that. And you know what I like about it is that randomized voices. I really like that, most
Yeah.
especially if you're on data, Wi-Fi, or you could even set it up to use your mobile data.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm reading an audiobook, especially with Google Cloud Voices. Like, it's just pretty cool.
They're really good. Next, we have from the theme of highlights from Talkback, and this week I'll be talking about creating folders. Hi, in my last installment of my series from the theme of highlights from Talkback, in installment 7, we concluded the Talkback gestures. Today, in installment 8, I'll be talking about creating folders, adding and removing things from within a folder. In this demonstration, I'll be using an older device to make sure that we have maximum compatibility across the devices. And as a result of that, I am not doing this on a phone powered by Android 12 Beta 5. Rather, I am doing this on a Pixel 2 XL running Android 11. I am sitting now on my home screen where I have 3 icons. By the way, I'll be using the TTS from Vocalizer. On my home screen now, I have a total of 3 icons. I have the following icons.
Explore.
Explorer from Good Maps, and to the right of that I have,
Solid Explorer.
and to the right of that I do have the PowerAmp.
PowerAmp.
What I will do is show you the 2 methods by which you can use in moving or creating folders. The first method we're looking at will be the long pressing and dragging and putting it atop another icon. In other words, what I'm talking about by long pressing is that you double tap, and on the second tap, you hold down your finger and move your finger around till you hear it say, create folder with X, X meaning another icon. I will now demonstrate that before we go to the second method. I will find the PowerAmp icon, double tap, and move it around so you'll see what I'm talking about.
Solid Explore PowerAmp.
Now I will double tap and hold.
Shortcuts. Library.
When I double tap and hold, I am not moving my finger yet. However, you heard it talk about shortcuts, which means if I let my finger go after I double tap and hold, it will give me the items that I've found from that shortcuts, which we'll talk about in another lesson. I will now move my finger slowly down. This is on row 1, column 3.
Move to row 2, column 3.
Move my finger down again.
Move to row 3, column 3.
I'm moving my finger down.
Move to row 4, column 3.
I'm going to move back up to row 1 in column 3.
Move to row 2, move to row 1, column 3.
Now remember, I had indicated that this was sitting to the right of Solid Explorer. I will now move my finger to row 2 where Solid Explorer is located, and we will hear where it says create folder with Solid Explorer.
Create folder with Solid Explorer.
I let go here. Upon letting go, a folder is created. This folder, however, does not have a name and simply says folder null. I will put my finger down so you hear what I'm talking about.
Folder null, 2 items.
It says folder null, 2 items. Let's tap here.
Solid Explorer, folder opened, 2 by 1.
Tapping on that folder null, we're told we have 2 items here. And the first thing that's highlighted is the Solid Explorer. Now to the right of that, I have
PowerAmp.
PowerAmp. Now, below those 2 items is an edit field where we can give this folder a name. I'll move my finger down.
Edit name, edit box.
I will tap here and bring up my keyboard and give the folder a name.
Showing English, US, QWERTY, keyboard, Pixel Launcher.
Let's call it dog. D-O-G.
Capital D. Capital D. Did. O-O-G-G.
I have typed in dog. D-O-G. I will now put my finger down to be sure that I actually have in the word dog.
Pix dog. Edit box. Editing.
Now I can simply tap and it will close it, or I could do the back gesture and it'll close my keyboard, or tap on the done found at the bottom right of my keyboard. And that's what I will do. I will now tap on done at the bottom of the right of my keyboard.
Board. Done. Keyboard hidden. Solid Explorer.
Notice that I tapped done and I'm still in that folder. And if I go to that bottom of where those two items are found, where the edit field is, I will be told the name of the folder is dog.
Dog. Edit box.
Now I will do the back gesture to close this folder.
Explore. Folder closed.
Now I'm back to my home screen. I will put my finger down now.
Explore.
I still have the Explore, and to the right of that I have
Folder. Dog. 2 items.
I have a folder called dog with 2 items. The next thing I want to do is to now add the Explorer to the folder we created called dog. I'm going to use the other method, which is invoking the Talkback menu and tapping on actions. In other words, first highlight the item that you want to move. And so in this case, I'll highlight Explore and then invoke the Talkback menu. If you have created a gesture for invoking actions, then there's no need to go into the Talkback menu and find and tap on actions. But I want to show this for those who haven't created a gesture primarily to invoke the actions action. So now I will find the Explore icon.
Explore.
Now that Explore is highlighted, all I need to do is simply invoke the Talkback menu. And that I will do with drawing a line down and curving to the right to bring up the Talkback menu.
Talkback menu. Actions. In list.
You heard it said actions, and that's the first item in the Talkback menu because I was sitting on an icon. And therefore, I could now just simply tap anywhere on the screen to activate or open this actions menu and see all that is contained within that actions menu. I will now tap here.
Actions. Shortcuts and notifications. In list.
When I tapped on actions, the first item that we heard is shortcuts and notifications. Let's explore below that and see what other items we have here.
Remove.
We have remove, which means if I tap here, I will be removing the icon from my home screen. If I move my finger down, we have
Uninstall.
uninstall. Simply will uninstall Explore. Let's move down.
Move item.
Move item. That means I can tap here and do the same thing that we did earlier when we merged the PowerAmp with Solid Explorer and creating a folder. Or at the bottom right of that menu is
Cancel.
the
Button.
cancel.
Outer list.
But we do not want to cancel. Instead, we want to move. So I will tap on the move.
Move item. In list.
Move item.
Pixel launcher. Create folder with camera.
I tapped on move item, and if I put my finger anywhere, you could hear it say what it says. For instance, it says create folder with camera because my finger mistakenly touched the camera icon on my dock. I'll put my finger down in the middle of the phone and pay attention to what it says.
Move to row 4, column 4.
I'm going to move up.
Move to row 3, column 3.
Move up.
Move to row 2, column 3.
Move up.
Move. Add to folder. Dog.
Add to folder dog. I'm going to tap here.
Item added to folder.
Now, my Explorer has been added to the folder called dog, which means I only have that single folder here, and I no longer have an icon called Explorer. Watch this when I touch that folder.
Folder, dog, 3 items.
Instead of the 2 items we had earlier, we now have 3 items in our folder called dog. I will tap here to open that folder.
Solid Explorer, folder opened, 2 by 2.
We are told that the first item here is Solid Explorer, and if I move my finger to the right, PowerAmp. And where is my Explorer? My Explorer is sitting right below that Solid Explorer on the left side.
Explore.
And those are the 3 items I have. Now the next thing we want to do is to show how we can remove one of these icons and move it back to the home screen. So we could do one of the 2 methods that I had just demonstrated. In other words, we could long press on it and drag it to the home screen and place it wherever we want on the home screen. Or, secondly, we could use a second method, which is activating Talkback, finding the actions, tapping on actions, and this time, instead of move item, we will be choosing to move to home screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and since we're already sitting on the Explorer, I will simply activate the Talkback menu, drawing a line down and curving to the right.
Talkback menu, actions, in list.
We are on actions, and I'll tap anywhere. Tapping on actions, here are the items we find.
Actions, out of list. Shortcuts and notifications, in list.
We got shortcut and notifications.
Remove.
Remove.
Uninstall.
Uninstall.
Move item.
Move item.
Move to home screen.
And we have a 4th item, this time move to home screen. The other one that says move item would mean that if I want to move it to a particular location within that folder, then I will tap on the move item. Let me show you what I mean. In other words, since this is my 3rd item, at the bottom left, I want to move it to the 2nd place on the right. So I will tap on move item.
Move item. Pixel launcher. Move.
Now watch, I'm going to put my finger down and it's going to say move to
position 2.
Move to position 2. I tap here.
Item moved.
Now we have
Explore.
Explorer now is to the right of Solid Explorer, and PowerAmp, which was to the right of Solid Explorer, has been moved below Solid Explorer.
PowerAmp.
There we go. Now let's move it to the home screen. And you could use either of those 2 that I showed you, either long pressing and moving it out, or invoke the Talkback menu, tap on actions, and go choose the move to home screen. I will now simply double tap and move it to the home screen.
PowerAmp. Shortcuts. Solid Explorer. Home screen 5 of 5. Solid Explorer. Move to row 3 column 2. Folder closed.
I'm going to go put it on the right of the folder.
Move to row 1 column 3.
That's row 3.
Item moved. Apps list.
Now, if I move my finger to the left of that,
Folder. Dog. 2 items.
and to the right of that,
PowerAmp.
That's how you go about creating folders, adding to folders, and removing items from within the folder or moving items within the folder. And that was it about creating folders using your Talkback. This now brings us to the close of this episode. Austin, tell us how people can go about getting hold of us, whether by email and all those medium that people could reach us through.
So people could reach us on our website, blindandroidusers.com. They can participate in various forums. We have a lot of forums on our website, so go and check it out. They can read articles. There are lots more articles coming. And also it's very easy to navigate to the YouTube video section, the playlist section. So all that can be done. If you have any questions, ask it on the website or fill the feedback form. But if you want to email us, then you can send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you want to send in a pre-recorded My Android Journey story, send it to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. Subscribe to our mailing list by sending in an email to blindandroidusers plus subscribe at groups.io, and the links for joining our Telegram group, Twitter, and Clubhouse, and subscribing to our YouTube channel will be in the show notes. So check those show notes out. That is all from us this week.
Thank you so much, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for listening. See you next week.
And that has been another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. As always, we appreciate hearing from you. You send those email messages to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. For those My Android Journey stories, we encourage you to send those to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. Until we see you in our next episode, you have a wonderful day.